What's the least impressive thing you've seen someone brag about? If we get wasted together at my house, I will definitely end up showing off my cookbooks. You sound like the kind of person I want to get wasted with. Me too. I'll bring the alcohol. That they hadn't cheated on their girlfriend in 6 months. Then got angry when we called him a serial cheater. I ain't never been to jail. Bitch, you're not supposed to go to jail. You can't take credit for things you're just supposed to do. Yellow expectation having Mathafrika. Chris Rock. Watcha want? A cookie? I've got a friend who often brags about his hot cousin. Freaking weird dude. I came here to say this, except I knew a guy in college who would show us pics of his sister, saying that she was going to med school and that she was hot AF, and he kind of wished it wasn't his sister. Weird dudes. I get it, that people that have kids love them unconditionally and are proud of everything they do, and they should be. However, this one popped up on Facebook a couple months ago, and it made me shake my head. One of my best friend's wives, who is as bad as a helicopter parent as you can be, wrote a solid page bragging about her son's doctor visit and how he was outpacing all his peers in growth. Then proceed to post that he was in 50th percentile for his age. She bragged that he was the literal definition of average. Wouldn't have been so bad if it wasn't such a long ranting post about it. My kid is so smart, he's got an IQ of 100. That's right, a perfect score. I actually knew a girl in high school who bragged about being a genius because she had an IQ of 100. She was awful. I went to school with a guy who went to a taping of the Jerry Springer show, and he wound up being one of the audience members who got to ask a question to one of the guests that Springer was profiling, and then he proceeded to brag nonstop for weeks thereafter about getting on camera and being on TV. He apparently thought that it was some big break or indicator of success or something. He got really mad off one of the times he was going on about this, and one of the people in the room responded, "Who cares? It's freaking Springer. It's not like you were on Oprah or something good." Yeah. I mean, I've been on TV twice, and you don't see me bragging about it. And I'm a candle maker, but you don't hear me bragging about it. Being distantly related to Genghis Khan. Me too, buddy. People who brag about how hard their life is. My manager at work always brags about how she had to drive an hour to work for a year, and how she has 4 kids to take care of. She's one of those story toppers. Like, well, this happened to me, so your reason for complaining is invalid. Especially when bragging to someone who has actually had a difficult time in life, but doesn't talk about it. Definitely annoying and cringy. Because when someone actually has trouble, they don't want anyone else to be dragged down with them. I can eat most flavors of yogurt. Even raspberry? You absolute legend, mate. Raspberry is best flavor. Friend often brags that he is one of the best hammer throwers. Sorry if that's wrong. Don't know the word in our country, but he came second out of 2 people, and when there were more people in the competition he got last place. Is there any chance he was joking? I'm reminded of myself and my buddy Spiro bragging about being the first 2 freshmen starting for our high school football team in the school's history. The reality was, our class was the first freshman class in the school's history. Prior to our class it was a 3-year high school, and only 18 people tried out for the team. Everyone who tried out made the team, and everyone on the team started on either offense or defense. This is such a random thing to get hung up on, but I thought that traditionally 3-year schools dropped sophomore first, so they have freshmen, juniors, and seniors. He bragged about taking care of his kids. You aren't supposed to brag about something you should do. Whenever I hear a guy brag about how good a dad he is, I'm immediately convinced he's a crap dad and probably an annoying person to be around. You're not babysitting your children. You're pulling your freaking weight. Co-parenting isn't the woman doing 90% and you giving her the night off. On the opposite side, a woman bragging constantly about being a mother and using motherhood as reasoning or an excuse for every little thing is a crappy mother. Co-parenting is also not insisting on doing every little thing because it's a mother thing. Also, pet peeve, women alone with their child are just being a mother, but men alone with their kids are babysitting, not fathering. What the frick is that? And there aren't any changing stations in men's rooms? The frick? I don't get sick. Literally everyone I know during flu season says this. I used to smoke pot every single morning, day, and evening of my life for 5+ years and I never got sick. Turns out, I was just too high to notice what sick felt like. That what I do when I'm sick, then the only thing I am, is cold and stuffy. Something about smoking weed more often than I do, which I don't at all. I do smoke weed, and one time my buddy bragged to me about going through a nos every week. After I said I could make 8 grams last me weeks, I was so confused, like wow congrats, maybe pay rent for once instead of spending $600 a month on weed. Woo, look at how much more money I spend to get, just as high as you. Woo, I love tolerance. I once overheard a guy wearing tap out gear brag about the wipe job he had just completed as he exited the stall in the men's room. Then, he didn't wash his hands afterward. Honestly, you cold stopped here, and we cold filled in the rest. There's so many options, it's like Mad Libs. Being rude to the police, telling their doctor off, giving their prof the finger during their lecture. I had someone brag to me that they spit on their EMT in the back of a freaking ambulance. People seem to love giving crap to people who are just doing their job and trying to help other people live their lives. They bragged about that. Wow. That they've seen their kid twice this summer. Dude, that's not good. They live 12 miles away from you. Still better than my dad, lol. I've seen him 2 times in the past 10 years. I broke all contact with him 6 years ago. He is a freaking piece of trash, and whenever I get wasted and I remember him I get mad and want to beat him up because he beat my mother when I was little. God help him. I never do it because I have gathered some anger. Stay smart. Just stay away from him. You see him? Scoff at him and walk away. Obviously fake war stories. No grandpa, you didn't bail out of an airplane over France, get your parachute stuck in a tree, then get rescued by a submarine. That doesn't even make sense. I feel like vets have gotten pressured to have more interesting war stories than they actually did, both by society and other vets. Opposite example is a buddy of mine. If you ask him how his tours of duty was in Iraq, mostly staring at sand and trying to find ways to pass time with other people in the middle of nowhere. He described it as spending 99% of the time being ready for that 1% when crap hits the fan. Admittedly though, he does say he was lucky in that he have to go anywhere too bad. My first BF bragged about being a sociopath, just like his hero, Sherlock. He also used the sociopath excuse to justify him treating me like human garbage. Do I think he actually was one? No. He was just an ass. I can't stand people who self-identify as sociopaths because they saw it on Sherlock and thought that it would allow them to be rude but also cleverer than everyone and would make everyone look up to them. But then they are just a loser and everyone thinks they're a dumbass who bases themselves of someone who doesn't exist. And the cringe is unreal when you watch them try to be the smart sociopath as well. They don't realize that no one actually acts like that in real life. Brag about their fluency in sarcasm. So you grasp the most popular form of comedy at your local middle school? Impressive. It's really not that impressive, honestly. On their CV, ran 5 km twice. Connected, I ran a 5k marathon. No. Just no. For me, this would be a huge accomplishment. I know that it's only 3 miles and really shouldn't be hard. Most regular runners do at least 5. But I have exercise-induced asthma. I can't even run a mile. I'm not out of shape. I'm not overweight. I'm healthy. I just can't breathe. I signed up for a 5k at the beginning of October. Here's to hoping. Wealth, when it's won or given to them by family. There was this kid my sister was interested in at college. We went to the same college, and holy crap, every time I saw him, he would be bragging about how many houses his parents have, or what his parents bought him. He wasn't even bragging about his own money, he was bragging about his parents' money. It was freaking annoying. He couldn't pass an art appreciation class, but God were his parents loaded, apparently, so it didn't matter. She still follows his Insta, and it's just full of him taking expensive trips out to like Venice Beach and crap, and doing photogenic bullcrap like surfing and talking about his brand new super expensive surfboard, or his brand new red Jeep, or some other brand new pricey object his parents have purchased for him to supplement the complete lack of parental love and care. They live in a completely different state than he does. Totally opposite is I worked with a guy who was the most laid back person ever and worked his ass off and went to school full time. Super chill dude. He invited me over to his house for a 4th of July party. His house was massive, 4th floor, 2 kitchens, 9 bedrooms, 20-foot movie screen theater, indoor basketball court, the works. I asked him why he never talks about this and why he's so humble. I said I'd have people over every day, and he said it's because none of this stuff belonged to him. It was all his parents. Which is why he worked the crappy serving job and still went to school full time, and he didn't even own a car. He would always ask for ride or Uber. Really opened up my eyes. Getting the highest grade in her app history class. That was 3 years ago, Grace, and you're a junior in college now. Like damn, have you done nothing even slightly notable since then? This hots home hard. I still bray about being the top of my class. In 5th grade. Yeah, I peaked at an early age. Yeah, well, I brag about graduating top of my class in the Navy SEALs. Bragging about cheating on their exes while they were still together. It's just, no. Who the frick brags about crap like that? Jesus Christ. Thanks for the laugh. Now I'm imaging bro Jesus bragging about cheating. I heard someone in high school say I'm more conservative than you will ever be, like their personal political views were a contest. Even as a conservative, that sounds like one of the dumbest things I've heard recently. My ex-stepfather-in-law. He used to brag about working at a car wash. He wasn't the manager. He wasn't the assistant manager. He just worked at a car wash. That's pretty badass though. He launders money he makes through cooking/selling meth through the car wash. A guy that used to work for my father. We had to go on a small trip together for business. I was only about 20 at the time. He was in his late 40s. Driving back to my place after a meeting, we decided to stop at a little strip bar on the side of the road. He got a lap dance and then would not stop bragging on the way home about how he came in his pants. Oh my god, what the frick. Plus it was their fault. They were rubbing my butt. I'm very sensitive. Some would say that's a plus. He bragged about not having finished his 2nd year of high school. He still haven't finished it. Looks like you skipped a few lessons yourself. Yeah, sorry, English isn't my first language. I know a guy who was born into a gigantic trust fund and his parents pay for everything and gave him a job in their family business. He constantly brags about the life he established for himself, as if he did anything to earn his huge house, luxury cars, etc. Born on 3rd, thinks he hit a triple. That reminds of one of my dad's friends who wasted the family fortune. Tens of millions of dollars just mad away in who knows what. I remember my dad saying he was just a nice guy and then meeting him years later in a dead-end job, really unhappy with his life. Something about the 3rd generation wasting the family fortune. As someone in the chronic illness community, the most annoying thing people brag about is how they are sicker than anyone else. It's like you dislocated your shoulder. I dislocated my shoulder, hip, kneecap, and passed out from low blood pressure all at the same time. I have lupus and try not to talk about it unless it becomes a problem, like at the end of a 4-mile walk home when my joints feel like they are going to explode, or after a few hours in the sun when I say I need to get in some shade because I'm starting to get sick. But I have this friend who has nothing wrong with him, and he's always talking about how sick he is and all the things wrong with him and saying it's the reason he can't work. I try pointing out that I have lupus and still work, and he tries to convince me he's so much worse than me. The truth is he's a lazy piece of crap. I have someone in my life like that too. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and I work full time. If I ever complained to them, they would tell me how it's worse for them. I'm not trying to compete for who has it worse. Why would I want to be the one who has it worse? Some days I just want to complain because I dislocated my wrist again and it hurts, but I can't because people who would understand try to one-up me every time. Some random dude out with his friends bragging I learned how to be a great liar from my parents. I can lie convincingly about anything. Yeah, my old coworker bragged about being a good liar. He was actually a horrible liar. No one cared enough about him to even call him out anymore. He was actually lying about that. How many drinks they can drink. This, a buddy of mine always claims to be a heavy drinker, but he has 4-5 drinks and passes out. And he can't wait to get up in the morning and tell everyone how he drank a whole 18 rack. The people who can really down the drinks tend to try to hide that fact. Probably, not that I would know. A guy at my work still brags about how much drink he drinks. Cool. You're 32. Maybe find a better hobby. I'm 45 and still occasionally hear guys my age bragging about some girl they banged back in college. Nobody cares, man. The worst is when it's like 3 or 4 guys and one of them starts bragging, then they all start swapping stories about girls they banged, about how wasted they got that one time, or some crazy stunt they pulled. All of it totally exaggerated and embellished, of course. I just walk away at that point and leave them to it. There was an obnoxious twit who briefly would go clubbing at the same places as my friend group. He was always inserting himself uninvited into conversation and attempting to one-up whatever the topic at hand was. And then he claimed to have an extra testicle, which made him more manly. To which our snarkiest friend instantly responded, "It's probably cancer, like you." She also refused to call him by name and referred to him as 2.5 testicle boy thereafter. He stopped showing up shortly after that. I'm both scared and in awe of your snarky friend. She sounds amazing. She is the smartest and most quick-witted person I have ever known. We have drifted to different parts of the country and lost touch, but I miss her and think about her nearly every day. Having recently graduated from college as a biology major, I can safely say that pre-med students love to brag about how crappy their lives are. It's honestly a competition sometimes. Oh, you didn't get any sleep last night? I'll have you know I haven't slept all week and I missed my sister's wedding to study for a lab quiz. I heard it was lovely. They take so much pride in having the crappiest life. I've heard that called misery poker. Got a coworker who does this. Ugh. That they deliver pizzas and have an MBA. You know, driving Uber isn't my real job. I run a tech company. This is my side job. In Atlanta, I'm actually a rapper. Uber is just my side job. I know this guy who considers himself a bit of a well-traveled dandy because he is southern, not gay, and his words. He was bragging to me how he had a layover at Newark Airport after coming back from holiday in England, which was ever so fun. He was like, yay, and I went to this restaurant in Times Square. Best pasta ever. It was called Olive Garden. Very fascinating guy. I think he is by far the most sophisticated of his friend group, so he thinks he is super suave and cool. Did he swing by Sbarro for an original New York slice? Now he's too sophisticated to eat peasant food like pizza. He also joined a country club, so he doesn't have to swim with black people. So this is the kind of guy we are dealing with. I work with a guy that's been out of college for 6 years, and he still has his high school GPA on his resume. At this point, nobody even gives a crap what you did in college. Give it up. Multiple people have given me crazed looks when I say I've thrown away my high school diploma. I'm 37. Janet, no one is going to ask me to prove I graduated high school ever again. My girlfriend's dad is 51, and he had to supply his high school diploma for an interview at Toyota in 2017. Anytime someone says something like, "You guys all changed since high school," I'm pretty much the same. I've heard people say that and think it makes them cool or enviable. In reality, it's an admission that you peaked in high school and makes you look like an absolute child. Who the hell wants to be the same loser they were in their mid-teens? Or my favorite, "I thought I knew you better." No. You knew the immature me and what I allowed you to know at the time. I cannot cook with my friends. They need to compete over doing every single move the fastest or the swiftest way and start questioning your cooking skills if you don't chop your onions like Gordon freaking Ramsay when you're just casually preparing food. Do you work in the restaurant industry by chance? I have the same problem when I make food for my coworkers when I throw a party. God damn it, Justin, they are just freaking pigs in a blanket. No one cares if they are not cut on a bias. They're wasted. If Taco Bell is good enough for them, so is this. They actually understood the jokes in Big Bang Theory because they were dating a real life rocket scientist. I knew a guy who bragged about getting the jokes in BBT as well. You know, as opposed to the millions of people who watch the show for some reason other than that they get the jokes. He was a nice enough guy, though, so I just let it go. Doing the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. I make more money and have a big slung and fricked more girls than you. And how is that statement supposed to impress me? Literally screams insecurity. And fricked more girls than you. I wish. Disu. How woke they are. Outside of their little bubble of friends and like-minded idiots no one cares. Woke is a great word for people who aren't religious but still want to be holier than thou. About the stuff they've stolen or how good of a thief they are. Not good enough if they are bragging about it. I heard a guy brag about how good his immune system was. Perfect immunity. I can raise and lower my cholesterol at will. Why would you want to raise your cholesterol? That they found / knew a music artist years before I did. Good job, man. Here's your gold star. My coworker brags about having been married 4 times. His 4th wife just left him. I'm wondering when the bragging about being married 5 times begins. Probably after the next time he gets married. My friend bragged about how, when she has a bad day, her boyfriend asks her if she wants to talk about it. The bar is so low it's actually touching the ground. That they were a CEO of their own company when it was a direct sales / MLM / pyramid scheme. So much second-hand embarrassment. A guy I worked with bragged that his teenage son would be able to use a whole month's prescription of Xanax in 1 weekend. Your son is a junkie. Good for you. My morbidly obese ex used to brag about being able to eat a Waffle House waffle in 18 seconds. I told him it would be more impressive if he stopped doing that. This will probably get buried, but about a week ago, I seen an old coworker of mine. Noticed she had changed slightly since the last time I seen her, lost some weight and different hair color. I started the usual how has things been and whatnot. She told me that she moved back with her parents to save some money. Nothing too unusual. Then leans in and goes, guess what I do now though? I smoke meth. Now the tone of her voice wasn't ashamed or anything like that. She was completely bragging to me about it. Like I was all of a sudden I was gonna think she's coolest because she smokes meth. Yay, she's been added to my list of people I'm never going to talk to again. It's because of the meth, isn't it? My fellow busboy who put more dishes on his tray than I did and carried it to the kitchen. We all had to carry the tray from underneath one-handed. After he gave all of it to the dishwasher, he acted like he shot a 3-pointer while being guarded. Yeah, that's how you do it. While he shot his fists down to his sides. He was clearly the superior busboy in all the land. Using their unique purple card to pay for the $2 of petrol they were able to pay for. This one kills me every time. I could see bragging about buying something exciting like a car or a home, although even then I wouldn't be bending over backwards to thank my boss for paying me for my job, but they are always bragging about the cheapest things. Even when I worked for minimum wage I could still afford a candy bar. Brenda, this is not convincing me to join your team. My neighbor once bragged to me that she hadn't read a book since high school. I'm a reading interventionist and was not impressed. I don't care if it's the most impressive thing. If you're bragging, I don't really want to hear it. But what about that time Dean killed Hitler? One guy we interviewed had put in his resume that he occasionally had meetings with the CTO. Being a princess. And no, I don't mean she's royalty, but she was bragging about being a high maintenance diva. She won't eat certain things. She doesn't wear certain fabrics. If it's not a fancy brand she doesn't want it. And whoever dates her has to pamper her. She's single and in her 40s. Not that that's bad, but in her case it's for a good reason.